Hello, I am Charlie Dyson. I am from the Manchester Youth Campus. I am Manchester Youth, and here I am to bring you a 5-minute thought for today based on stuff that I've been thinking about and dwelling over for the past many years. So I don't know about you people, but I have a horrible habit of romanticizing the past. So much so to the point that I am looking at the past and wishing that I could be in that position again where God calls me again, and there's a big moment spiritually where God is there and God's speaking to me and he calls me into something great. A good moment for that was when he called me into youth ministry at the gathering, and my life changed for the better, much for the better. Here I am today doing stuff that I said for years I would never do. What I found myself doing a year later, at the same point of the gathering, was standing in the same spot, saying, God, speak to me again, and God did not speak to me again. There's a point in the Bible, a story where Moses is leading the people into the promised land, or more like wandering the desert for 40 years. And naturally, people get thirsty while wandering the desert for 40 years. So, God instructs Moses to strike his staff against the rock and water will flow from it. So he strikes his staff against the rock and water flows for his people. That's in Exodus 17 at some point, because I forgot to give the verses. Later on in Numbers chapter 20, you get a similar story where the people are thirsty again. And God this time says to Moses, take the staff and you and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together. Speak to that rock before their eyes, it will pour out its water. You will bring water out of the rock for the community so they and their livestock can drink. You might notice here that God is asking Moses now to speak to the rock, not strike his staff with it. But Moses takes his staff and strikes the rock, and it doesn't work, so he strikes the rock again and water flows. And because of this mistake that Moses makes, God says to Moses, you cannot lead my people into the promised land. And before Moses they see the promised land, but he cannot pass into it because he did not follow out the instructions that God has provided for him. And so my challenge for you today is to listen to what God's saying for you today and don't romanticize what he said in the past. I get into the habit so frequently of looking at what God did in the past and lining up my life so much so that it looks like it did back then. So I watch Parks and Rec at the same time of the year, read the same book same times of the year. I get into the same habits that I did the previous year and wait for God to speak to me again, and God does not speak to me again because he's speaking to me now and he's getting me lined up into a new position to speak to me. So my challenge to you this summer is don't look at last summer where you were free to do whatever you wanted to do, and now you're looking at the restrictions you're under and thinking, God, where are you? And you try and get back to the place you were in last year. Some of you could be going into GCSEs now, or you could be going into college, and you're wishing you took more advantage of what you had last year, and you're longing for what you had in the past. God is here to speak to you today. He's got a new message for you today, and if you're listening to what he said last year, listening to what he said in the past, God is saying you're not qualified to do what I'm calling you to do because you're not listening to me, you're not following out my instruction I'm giving you today. So what we can learn from Moses is that God cannot use someone who is living in yesterday's blessing instead of taking today's blessing and following out the instructions he's giving you today. So my question for you is, what is God telling you to do today? What is God asking of you? What is God challenging you to do in this next season of your life? And are you prepared to let go of what he said in the past, to follow him wholeheartedly into what he has for you? And I guess that's my message. So, Father God, thank you that you are willing and you're wanting to speak to us, even in this dark and mysterious and interesting time we're living in where things are so uncertain and we don't get to do what we used to do. God, you're still speaking to us and you still have blessings to pour out and you still have purpose for us in this season. So God, help us to let go of what we had in the past, because today you're doing a new thing. And I pray that you'll give all of us as leaders and all of youth in our church and in Chester and whoever's watching this channel, I just pray that you can use us, that we listen to your voice today, and we just have a great summer. Audacious, thank you for listening to me ramble on about this with this word I guess I have, and I hope you're having a really great summer, and I really can't wait to see you after summer in whatever capacity it looks like, and it's going to be a great summer. See you then.